I mean, it's a driver in Joey Logano who is not afraid to he will race you how you race him. And if he feels like you did him wrong, he's gonna come back at you tenfold. And we have a driver in Ty Gibbs who's young, who has been aggressive. Last year did a really good job of kind of harnessing that. And he's kind of, as you saw, the year went on a little bit, though. It was like, hey, I want to make sure people aren't taking advantage of me. And I think there's part of that. You hear that all the time from young drivers. You don't want to be taking advantage of the veterans. You got to stand up for yourself. Logano's the wrong guy, though. Just here's my tip for Ty Gibbs. I get it. I understand it. But Logano's not the guy to do that with, because, I mean, he said at the end of that clip there that it's on social media, which was basically don't mess with me. And he's right. There's a long list of guys. Logano will make your life hell, and he will pay you back tenfold. And it's fascinating to watch. And, this is maybe a blip, and who knows, and we'll see. But certainly something to watch going forward.
Yeah, but remember, first of all, Martinsville last fall, where Logano seemed to shove Ty Gibbs almost into Denny Hamlin when Denny Hamlin was trying to make the Final Four. And then you have that radio chatter that they played again during full speed where I think Hamlin says something like he's a trash human or something like that. And then in the clip tonight where you see Ty Gibbs going, I've been watching you do this my whole life or something. And then Logano's like, keep watching, buddy, or something like that. That was great. But the sad part about all this is we were getting the top five they were going to bring the top five to the press conference room, right? So Logano comes in and we do this whole media session with him, right? And we had no idea that he had gotten into it with Ty Gibbs, so we did not ask him about it. Then I looked down at my phone afterwards, and there's a text from Bob, and he's like, hey, did Logano come in? He yelled at Ty in the garage. I'm like, dang it, why did I not look at my phone? So nobody knows Logano's side of this necessarily, except from what we heard on the clip, but we did hear Ty Gibbs' side. He talked to some reporters afterwards, but that was a good little feud going. You had Ross Chastain, Tyler Reddick, who are buddies. They got into it at the end. Kyle Larson said that after Bubba Wallace got into him 3 times, he wrecked Bubba Wallace on purpose at the end, or spun him out at least. So although he said he was just trying to move him, but then he accidentally spun him. But he was trying to make contact after Bubba hit him 3 times. So I do question, though, because I asked Kyle Busch and the other guys about this. What is the point of using up some of your cachet or your favors or your goodwill in an exhibition race and get people mad at you? Because you just talked about Ty Gibbs messing with the wrong guy. Well, there were some hurt feelings there, right? So that's going to carry over. I would not have advised that in the Clash just in general, because I know people see red very quickly and it's a short track, but for a points race position, okay, but when you're battling for not the win, which is all that matters in this race, and you're going to get people mad at you, I don't know.
I mean, you pick and choose your spots, and this probably wouldn't be the spot I would pick and choose. But you know what, though? That's why we love short tracks. That's why we always say more short tracks. Despite the package maybe not being what we want it to, short tracks create this kind of drama. They create these kind of storylines, and this is why getting the short track package right is so imperative for NASCAR going forward.
I know. I miss when we could watch short track races all the time and just be like, more short tracks. And it was just an automatic that you were going to see this kind of action and rivalries. So I guess I agree with you when you're talking about how good the racing was in that aspect, because yes, that is part of good racing on short tracks, right? To have that kind of contact and those tempers and moving people out of the way. By the way, unrelated to this, part of the short track concerns with the next gen car were injuries, right? Like head injuries, being hit at slow speeds. Especially when it came out, there was all this talk about it last year even. And I asked Kyle Larson about it tonight. There was all these hits in the corner tonight, right? Did it feel different? Did it feel better? And he said he didn't even think about it. And he said it still hurts, but it did feel softer and it did feel like they could take the hits more. So I think that's progress, right? That is something that NASCAR and everybody have worked on to try to reduce that. We know that this car can stand up to huge impacts like the Ryan Preece crash, but the smaller impacts have still been in question. But it was good to hear, I think, that being hit on the straightaway at the Clash at a lower speed is not going to cause a concussion, hopefully. So that was just another note. Go ahead. Oh, that was it?
No, I'm saying you're right. I hit the mute button. I'm trying to limit the echo over. I'm a radio professional, utilizing this to my skill set. The other thing about this, it's really easy because this is an exhibition race to say, it doesn't matter who wins. There's no real takeaways. I do think there's a takeaway from this. And we've talked about this a little bit this week. 2 years ago, Joey Logano wins the Clash, goes on to win the championship. Last year, Martin Truex Jr. wins the Clash, goes on to win the regular season title. So maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not, but I do think there's something to pull from that. Asked Denny Hamlin that post-race, and he said, there are some similarities to this track to some other tracks on the schedule. Martinsville, he mentioned specifically. And so if you're taking from this, I think it's the fact that Denny Hamlin and the 11 team are going to be a threat. They're going to be in every race this year. They're going to be a title contender. Now, that's not a surprise. I think we all predicted that to happen, but this is certainly a good indicator that the 11 team is still, answering the bell.